Hello again, and it's the Ian Lewis Gardner Tackle Mistral Baits blog. Here again at the Yateley Match Lake, just for a quick overnighter. Usual tactics of mine, fishing with 3 chods, all fairly short. One's been dispatched out towards the island on a nice gravel area, in sort of like around sort of 5 or 6 foot of water. That's on the coconut ice. Put about 40 to 50 freebies around that with the Gardner Scorpion stick. The other 2 have been put out towards an area I found yesterday. I had a little mark about in the swim, as the fish do tend to group up in this area, and I wanted to find a good area to present a couple of baits. And those have been put out on the vampire squid, glugged in the vampire squid glug. And that was dispatched with the old Gardner catapult there. I always put the old Gardner fluoro rig foam on. Just gives you 2 reasons really. Stops the hook point obviously dinking on anything. It helps the chod to work effectively, and also you can when it rises to the surface, it shows you where your hook bait's presented roughly, so you sort of know really whether you're on it or not. So obviously what you've got to take into consideration is the spot you might be fishing may only be small, and obviously with a chod, obviously the leg goes in and the actual hook bait comes back up the leader towards the splice loop or leader knot, whatever you've got on. So it just allows you to you know, have a better insight to whether it's on the money or not. Obviously I always feel the lead down too, but just another sort of visual aid really. And if you're quick enough, I tend to put the baits either in my pouch or a pocket and either catapult or throw and stick to hand, and when the foam's risen, you know, it gives me a good marker to aim for. So there we go. Right then, nice one. For an all year round bait, you really won't go far wrong with the Mistral I-40 Red. Absolute, got proven track record, caught enormous fish in this country and abroad. An absolute winner really. For an out and out sort of spring summer bait, I'm torn at the moment. I'm really pleased with the FMs. Had a few nice fish on them whilst testing them, but also the vampire squid, also had a few fish on these. So but again, I really think that these are a sort of spring, summer, maybe early autumn sort of bait. But with those baits, I think you've got it covered all year round really. The sort of rosehip isotonic for the winter. You've got the I-40 Red, which I really think you can use all year round, even in really cold conditions. And you've got the vampire squid and the FM, which I think are a really good bait, and they're a bait that I'd be quite happy putting quite a bit out on, you know, and really get them sort of getting their head down, trying to hold fish in the area. I'd be really happy to sort of put quite a bit of that in. But again, saying that, again as a single throughout the year, I'd be quite happy to fish a coconut ice. I know again that's got sort of proven record and stuff, so it's done very well abroad whilst being tested. So there we go. Water levels risen a fair amount with all the rain we've had. In actual fact, this has been the driest it's been all day. Well, at least since sort of 10 o'clock this morning. Rain's just sort of stopped. Got one hook bait positioned out towards the right of that sawn down tree, as where I had the catfish from last week, and the other 2 been positioned. If you see those 2 silver birches, I've lined up with those. I've used the marker float which I clipped up yesterday. It's quite an interesting feature actually. It's weed, and then it comes into a nice clean sort of gravelly area. I still believe there's a little bit of sparse weed on it, but definitely good enough to put 2 chods on. And not only that, in the centre of it there's a high spot of about 4 foot. You can actually feel the lead pulling up like a slope or a hump, so you never know, it might be a little, I've never fished that area before, and you never know, it might be a little area they congregate around, maybe go for a social, or I'm not so sure they'd necessarily feed off of it as in like a natural sort of food larder, because obviously that's really the silt and stuff. But what I have got is in my mind satisfaction that I've got you know, rigs presented effectively, and with all the weed that lives in this lake, that, you know, that's quite a big thing. So fingers crossed for tonight. Absolutely quiet down here tonight. I think there's only one other angler on, so if I'm lucky enough to have one, I think it'll have to be a self-take tonight. Just pan round here. I know you've already sort of seen these views on the previous blog, but you know, only probably a week since the last blog, or probably less than that, and you know, it's really starting to green up now. All the trees are starting to come into colour now, starting to look more like sort of spring, which is nice. So it does look quite dingy and barren during the winter months down here. Taking a bit of a gamble fishing a white hook bait over on that clean area. There's an awful lot of diving birds and stuff, but coots and whatnot, but it's a gamble I'm prepared to take. These are without a doubt my absolute favourite hooks all time. The Gardner size 10 covert mugger and the Gardner covert chod hook in the size 8, both in the barbed. Awesome hooks. If there was two patterns of hooks that I'd use for the rest of my life, this would be them. A couple of hours into the session now, the sun's finally come out. Really nice actually. The wind's almost completely died off. It's gone, as you can see, flat calm. I've had a fairly severe liner on the right hand side, which is encouraging. Despite fishing a slack line, I know there's a reasonable amount of weed between here and the spot, so as much as I'd like to think the line's following the contours of the lake bed, I imagine it probably does pick up slightly in the up and coming weed, as I say, between here and the spot. It's not an enormous weed bed, but it is very present, that's safe to say. This little boilie muncher. Tell you, all the birds down there, they've all found themselves taking a liking to the boilie, diving down or putting their necks down, taking the odd stray one in the edge. Just on the edge of the ripple towards that little it's that little green thing floating, just on the edge of the ripple is where my right hand rod's positioned. There's a nice hard area there. It sort of starts just right of the tree stump and comes out to just about where the green is, and comes back at probably about 10 feet. It's a sizable area. Probably the size of, I suppose, at a guess, 10 foot by 10 foot, I suppose. Just had a cracking result, a nice 25-4 mirror, caught on the Mistral coconut ice, fished over towards the end of the island, spot I was discussing earlier. Well pleased. That's 3 sessions down here now, 3 quick overnighters, resulting in 37-12 cat and that 25-4 mirror, and we've still got, I don't know, 6 hours before I've got to pack up and go to work, so fingers crossed. Cheers. 6:30 in the morning. Last rod out. Off to work now. I had that one fish during the night, 25.4, but that's been all. I got pictures on the camera, but due to light conditions I was unable to sort of film it, so well, that's that really. Till next time.